Welcome to TMI, the Men's Initiative, where we interview leaders in the community and the body of Christ who have a proven track record and foundation of spiritual growth and success. These men will talk about spiritual well-being, men's mental health, relationship tips, health and body care, family, and more.
What's up, y'all? I'm Cam, Pastor Cam, ChoirBoi Cam, whatever it is that you want to call me. I am so excited and honored to be here to talk to you guys today. You know, I think it's so important for us as men to be able to come together, share our testimonies, share some of the troubles, triumphs that we've experienced, some of our very low times and even our victories. So I'm just excited to be here to talk to y'all today. So again, I'm Cam. My story starts all the way back October 17th, 1998, in a small town called Pelzer, South Carolina. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there you're able to see a whole bunch of cows and chickens and all of that different type of stuff. But truly, when I was born, I had a lot of different health issues. I was actually pronounced a failure to thrive. So I had severe sensory issues. Colors and sounds made me scream. So you know how, your parents, they decorate the nursery and everything when the child comes home. My parents had to take all of that down, of course, because I just couldn't take it. And when I was born, I've always asked my mother the question, what are some of the things that you thought about or experienced in that time? And how she's kind of explained it to me is when I was still in her womb, the Lord explained to her who I would be, who he had called me to be, some of the things that I would accomplish, some of the things that I would do. However, when I was born, it was hard to kind of see what it is that God said. And I know a lot of times in life, we find ourselves in those places. How is it that we find ourselves in places and spaces that God has said a thing, he's pronounced a thing, he said what we do, what we'd be, what we'd accomplish. However, once it's time for that thing to happen, the promise doesn't look like what he said. But there was a time when my mother, she was watching television, and she was watching television, and there was a preacher that was on the screen, and he had told her to touch your child, and pray this specific prayer, and from that day forward, things just started to turn around. Literally, people would say I was a late bloomer, right? I was still 3 and 4 years old, crawling around on my elbows. I wasn't able to walk until later on in life. And then I wasn't really forming words either, y'all. Like, really, and right now, I sing, I preach, I do all these things, but I wasn't able to do any of this. And the doctor said that I would never be able to do this. So, like I said, later down the road, still wasn't walking, still wasn't talking, but the Lord had started to turn things around. So what had happened was, born and raised in the church, I was always the type of person that just wanted to serve. Of course, as a PK, me, my brother and sister, we always had to serve anyway. We really didn't have an opportunity to do anything outside of that, but we had to serve. But I had a love for it. And what happened was the Lord, he started to give me music that I had never heard before. He started giving me my own songs. I started writing. I played cello. I've played cello for over 13 years. So I was always in music, and the Lord started to give me my own sound. And what had happened was, I stepped out on faith, holding on to the promise that the Lord had made my mother, and also holding on to the promise that the Lord had told me and told me about myself. I stepped out on faith. I said, God, if this is what you have called me to do, here we go. You take the wheel, right? So I released my first project when I was like 15 years old, 14, 15 years old. And literally a year into that, the Lord opened doors. I was touring Jamaica and Canada, all over the United States. But even in that before I had even got to that place where I had this confidence in walking in what the Lord had called me to walk in, I went through a season where I was bullied a lot. You know what I'm saying? I was bullied in school, and it was because I was always different from everyone else. My mother, she always told me, my brother and sister, that we're like eagles. We fly above the rest. We won't be able to do what everybody else is doing. And the Lord has called us to be unique and stand out and walk in what it is that He has called us to. But of course, in a world of social media where we all see what is going on all the time, it's easy for people to look at you and deem what you're doing as wrong because it's different from what they're doing. So at a young age, but before I started singing my music, I was the type of guy that was walking around the school with his head down, right? And after a while, like I said, I started to walk into what the Lord had called me to. And there was a confidence that I had. My chest started to get a little more bigger. Not in arrogance, but in confidence in what the Lord had called me to be and what He had called me to do. So fast forward, I'm now releasing music, and I'm traveling the world. And while I'm doing that, I'm dancing and I'm singing, and it's so different from everything that I'm seeing everybody else doing. And at the time, people would look at me and be like, this boy, this is not of God. He coming in our church and he dancing and he's singing at the same time. He's saying that this is worshiping God, right? But my mom, she always told me, she was like, continue to do what the Lord has called you to do. The Lord is going to prepare people that's prepared to receive what it is that He has placed inside of you. Never feel like you have to be inside of a box. Never feel like you have to fit a certain mold. Always walk in what it is that the Lord has called you to do. And really, if we can just put a pin right there, I want to encourage you of the same. I believe that many people that are watching this right now, you have heard from the Lord. You know what it is that the Lord has called you to do, and there might be some that don't as well. But truth of the matter is, because we live in a society and a world where everything is clickbait. We try to do things to get attention. You have to look a certain way. You have to talk a certain way. You have to act a certain way. A lot of times what we realize is those things are opposing what it is that the Lord has said about us. What we have to understand is the devil is the author of illusion. So he desires for us to see the opposite of everything that he says that we are. When we're born, we have a destiny that the Lord has given us, but there's also a demonic destiny and assignment that the enemy wants us to walk out. And it's really based on us. Which path do we choose based on the decisions that we make daily? So I want to encourage anybody who's out here right now, who's kind of trying to find their way in a world where everything is so chaotic and everybody is doing the same thing. I want to encourage you, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Remember who it is that the Lord has called you to be, and walk in that. So let's keep going. So now I've started this thing. I'm confident. I'm standing up tall, and now the Lord has opened doors. Nominated for Stellars, nominated for all of these awards. But now it's time for me to go to college. And I go to college on scholarship, running track and cross country, something that the doctor said that I would never be able to do. Remember, I'm the guy who was still crawling around on his elbows at 3 and 4 years old. But my mom literally paid $150 for the college application, and everything else was paid for because of scholarship, with track, academics, all of those different types of things. And I was a slow learner. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying this to encourage you on the fact that although the odds might be up against you, I want you to use my life as a representation, as an example that if the Lord said it, it shall come to pass. I don't care what people have said. I don't care how you might feel. I don't care what statistics say. You will overcome because we serve a God who's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ever ask or think. So on today, I ask you to walk in your purpose, walk in what it is that the Lord has called you to do. If He's giving you the vision, He'll provide for the vision, and continue to be strong, be the man of God that He has called you to be, and walk in confidence in everything that you do. If you start it, the Lord will finish it. So yeah, y'all, I'm a gospel artist, ChoirBoi Cam, and I actually just released a new single called Replay that's being played all over the world right now. Praise the Lord. It's nominated for a few awards right now, and I want y'all to go and stream it and buy it. So you can get it everywhere that you buy music. You can get it Apple Music, Amazon, what is it, Google Play, Spotify, all of those places. Go and get that music. I promise this will encourage you. It will remind you of the God that we serve. Same God today, yesterday, and forevermore. So go and get it.